Let's call this meeting in order, Tuesday, December 1st, 2020. You stand with me.
Please bow your heads. Lord, thank you once again for the city we live in, for the wonderful place that we have and the people that live here. Thank you for our staff. Thank you for the council. We enter into this our final phase of the holiday season, and we need to remember, you know, what's the real reason for this season, and we need to honor the individual that has helped us get this to where it is. We need them to lay a healing hand across our country and hope that everybody can kind of come together and work together and solve all the issues that we have. We ask that you watch over people that are sick and have caught this awful disease that's going out there, and find a good cure or an end to it. We also do, all we do in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kathy, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Shute.
Here.
Bettman.
Present.
Ivy.
Here.
Lawrence.
Here.
Stewart.
Here.
Carlisle.
Here. If there's anyone here that has any business they want to bring before us that's not on the agenda, if you'll see Clerk Haley, she'll get you set up. And I just want to thank everyone for coming tonight, and we will hear the mayor's report.
Not a whole big report, just the downtown lights are up, thanks to John Spiegel and Judy. They do a good job, and the staff that he has. It takes him a few weeks to put it up, but it really looks nice. Had a call from a gentleman outside the area, said he's coming up to view the lights. He's moving up here, actually, building a house in the city, on the lake, so it's all good. And he said he just loves coming to Sebring because of the holiday season. So, and also, don't forget about the parade Friday night, 7 o'clock. We are having a parade, so I think we just got to keep moving ahead with life. So
Amen.
that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman's concerns, comments, liaison reports?
Well, the only thing I have is, probably most everybody is aware, is the Nancessory Hotel is in the process of being, I guess, demolished. But we're looking forward to possibly something new there, so if you have any ideas, the CRA would love to hear them, I'm sure. So we're moving forward a little bit in that area, and I think it'll be a good thing that we do. So.
No report.
Comment. I'd like to see us at the beginning of the year have some planning workshops for the coming year. Plan our business or plan issues that we think may come up or will come up. And I think it'd be good if we plan those after January 1st to have some workshops here.
Sounds good.
See the smiles are making you happy.
My meetings.
Tom?
No report.
No report. Thank you. We have a consent agenda. I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there anyone having comments? If not, hold the board, please.
Bettman.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Carlisle.
Yes. Okay, there is no old business, so we'll go right into new business. That'd be 10A, public hearing ordinance 1455, changing zoning for the property located on 2520 Lakeview Drive. Brenda, would you like to come up and? Yeah, this is a public hearing. The city council is considering changing the zoning classification of the property located on 2520 Lakeview Drive. The property would be rezoned from R1 to R1A, single family, to PD, planned development. The city planning and zoning board held a public hearing at their November 10th, 2020 meeting and recommended approval, which conditions outlined in ordinance 1455. The purpose of this public hearing is to receive input. Following the public hearing, the city council will consider ordinance 1455 on second and final reading. Yes, ma'am.
For the record, I'm Brenda Torres with the Central Florida Regional Planning Council. And like stated, we're here for ordinance 1455, the rezoning of 2520 Lakeview Drive. The request is for our R1A single family to PD plan development for 8 residential dwelling units. Like stated, Planning and Zoning Board met November 10th and provided a recommendation of approval with changes and a condition, and I'll go over that shortly. First reading was on November 17th and it was approved on first reading. Today we're here for second reading and a public hearing. The development proposal, we've highlighted, between the current application and the former application. The former application had 14 multifamily dwelling units. Today, they're asking for 7 multifamily, 1 single family with a total of 8 dwelling units, 1 shed and 13 parking spaces. We provided conditions of approval and cost of plan and rendering. These are applied to the planned unit development. And just to go over the recommended conditions of approval is that the PD is in approval for 8 dwelling units. The development should provide 13 parking spaces. Existing buildings shall be renovated to be significantly consistent with the rendering submitted. And then prior to certificate of occupancy, the landscaping and buffering shall be installed consistent with the proposed landscape plan. And site lighting shall be still lighting and not motion sensor lighting. This was the condition provided by P&Z, and then no outdoor storage shall be allowed on site. I can answer any questions you may have and any comments from the public as well.
Okay, thank you. Is there any input from the audience, public, comments or questions? Councilman, input, comments, questions? Mr. Mayor, you got anything to say?
Nope, I think he,
Okay, yeah,
if he can get it done, it'd be great.
okay.
Really needs to be.
Public hearing's closed. Okay, 10B, this is ordinance 1455, changing zone from property located on 2520 Lakeview Drive, second reading. Ordinance 1455 will change the zoning of the property located at 2520 Lakeview Drive from R1 to R1A family to PD plan development. The ordinance was passed on first reading at Council's November 17th, 2020 meeting. It is on your agenda for second and final reading. Mr. Swain.
The ordinance is entitled an ordinance changing the zoning classification of a portion of Lot 7, all of Lots 9 and 10, and a portion of Lots 19 in Block 111 of Lakeview Place, lying in Section 20, Township 34 South, Range 29 East of Highlands County, Florida, from City R1 and R1A to City PD, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing an effective date.
Is there any comments from the audience? Any comments up here? We need a motion.
I make a motion, we pass ordinance 1455 on second and final reading as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Hold the board, please.
Detman,
Yes.
Ivy,
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Carlisle.
Yes. Okay, moving right along to 10C. This is a public hearing. Ordinance number 1456, annexing property on US 27, the Aldi area. Background, the purpose of this public hearing, the city is considering annexing property on US 27 north in the Aldi supermarket area. The property consists of 9 parcels totaling 12.51 acres. More than 50% of the total area and 50% of the owners have consented to annexation. The purpose of this public hearing is to receive public comments. Following the public hearing, council will consider ordinance 1456 on second and final reading. Mr. Swain.
Scott, do we have the maps? Ladies and gentlemen, for those that were not here, for the first reading of the ordinance, there are 4 distinct areas that the city is looking to annex. This is the first of the 4. We're referring to it generally as the Aldi area. You see it on the map that's on the screen here, and it's the area that lies inside the black marker boundary. It's predominantly on the west side of 27. The areas shown in green are those that have signed a declaration of covenant agreeing to annex. Those in orange have not. You don't know that I have anything further?
Okay,
The explanation that you initially provided.
okay, do we need to read the ordinance?
We will once we get to the ordinance.
Oh, okay,
For now, we're
this is a
simply
public
receiving
hearing.
public comment.
Okay. Is there any public comments or questions?
And as people are coming up, we will address each of the 4 different areas sort of in turn. This is just the Aldi area. You're certainly welcome to make any comments that you'd like to council regarding that.
I'm Virginia Haymaker, and my husband Larry and I own the property that's the north parcel right here. We also own these. But you did mention that the areas in green are properties that people had already signed the annexation agreement. But I believe, I understand that those parcels already have water and sewer. Is that correct?
I'm not sure if they have water or sewer. That map's simply reflecting those that do and do not have an annexation, a signed declaration of covenant.
Right.
There are separate maps that show where the water lines and
I have
sewer lines
spoken
are.
with the owners, the other 2 parcels and ours, that are circled, or that are outlined in black, and I do know that they don't have the city water and sewer. And, you know, I suppose they would probably like them also. I don't know if they are here or not, but, you know, we had mentioned before that according to section 171042 from the Florida State, the legal department in Florida, that prior to commencing the annexation procedures, the governing body of the municipality shall prepare a report setting forth the plans to provide urban services to any area to be annexed, and the report shall include the following. And here's one thing we talked about: a map or maps of the municipality showing the present and proposed municipal boundaries, the present major trunk water mains and sewer interceptors and outfalls, the proposed extension of such mains and outfalls as required in paragraph C, and the general land use pattern in the area to be annexed. Do you have those maps here tonight?
Yes, ma'am. They're part of the reports that were created for each of the 4 areas and sent to the county.
So they're not available for us to see tonight?
Do you have any other standalone reports?
I don't have standalone.
You're welcome to look at this one.
All right, I had an informal meeting with Mr. Natelick, right.
Thank
And he did say several weeks ago, before the first meeting, that they were talking about, you know, what it was gonna take to bring the sewer to our property. And I just figured that there's probably been 3 or 4 weeks now, and what has come of that discussion?
Bob Bacchus, our utility director, has supplied me with information on what type of pipe and materials would be necessary, the engineering, surveying, and permitting costs. And those costs would run approximately $60,000 by his estimation.
So I know we talked about how much it would add for the property taxes if you were to annex our property. And with the extra properties, it seems like within 2 or 3 years, that amount would be made up, or more than made up, I suppose. Is that something that the county, or that the city is considering feasible? I mean, are you going to actually do that?
I just have a question, Ms. Haymaker.
Yeah.
Did the other people you talked to over there, do they intend to hook up to this water and sewer if it's available?
I didn't talk to them after the meeting here. I figured that was their responsibility to be here. You know, I do know that it says that it's not recommended, it said, let's see. Until further clarification is provided regarding city's authority to mandate annexation, offering incentives to utility customers to annex is the only safe alternative for municipal utilities. And, I mean, it goes on and talks about different utility surcharges that the city could have if you didn't connect. I mean, we know that we have water available behind us, but that's a 4-inch line, and who knows what's gonna be built there? I mean, we have our property leased now for several years, and I'm hoping that man's going to buy it, but if he doesn't, it's still a 2.3 acre parcel in total, and pretty much anything could be built there.
Sure.
You know, but I know that unless we have the sewer, we don't want to sign for annex. If we have the sewer and water, we will sign for the annex.
Thank you.
And I'll get this back to you, Mr. Swain. Thank you.
And just for clarification, that line was for that entire territory just south of Murphy Oil, correct? Is that right? Just south of Murphy Oil, all the way down to Hayes Automotive at the corner of New Life Way. The line would actually also extend under New Life Way and empty into a lift station at Home Depot.
Did you look into the line that was there? Did you find anything about that?
They've looked at the line that was there. They haven't been able to, locate the line? Is that correct?
We're having trouble locating it there. We're still working on it. We're hoping that we can locate it, pressure test it, and see if it's something we can use.
But we do know it's there.
It's there as far as we know.
Okay. Well, she said it was leaking at one time, so it has to be there.
That was a forced line.
Right, force
Correct.
main. Right. That's what they're looking for. Yeah.
Maybe Bobby could talk to the Haymakers and they could tell you where it was leaking.
Yeah.
I'm sure they could probably pinpoint it.
Yeah.
I think the problem is it's pretty weak.
Yeah.
It's hard to program.
That was also prior to the retention ponds from, what do you call, the drainage, when the highway was made into 6 lanes. That was before, because we bought the property in the 80s.
Okay. So it could be, it could have went bye-bye. Yeah. Okay. Is there any other, public input?
Is that for that area or we wait for our area?
We're waiting on, we'll wait for your area later. This is just
Okay,
that.
we're gonna vote on this one now or vote on all of this?
We're gonna vote on one at a time. This is just a public hearing.
Okay.
Okay. Any more comments?
Clarification, you're voting tonight.
You need to, if we're gonna talk, we need to come up here, please.
Sorry about that. Just a clarification for Tom Griffin, 560 US 27 North. Just a clarification for that question. You're gonna vote now on each one as they go, and if they're approved, it's done, right?
Yes.
So even if you're a little further down the line, if you wanna talk now about the whole annexation problem, now's,
Yeah, you can,
Now's the
they,
time to do it.
anyone can come up and talk.
thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
I'll speak if I should. Well, I'm not on the map here. I'm down by right across from Chili's. I have a simple question. It's it's simple to me. I've been living in Sebring for 50 years, and why did nobody ever approach me and ask me if I was interested in being annexed? But it seems like Chili's must have signed, I'm guessing, and Outback, and nobody ever approached me. Which, like I said, I'm not on the map, so I don't know who signed and who didn't. But I've been in Sebring for 50 years. My input, I think, is worth something. I think if you ask somebody coming to ask, everybody here sort of knows me or my family or something. Nobody ever approached me and said, "What do you think about being annexed?" Now you got people who've been living here for a long, long time. They're fighting this. There's a reason why they're fighting this, and you guys should be looking at those people who have been here, not the guy from Chili's who doesn't live here, doesn't do business here, doesn't do nothing here with the city. We've been here. We live in the city. I mean, I love Sebring. Don't get me wrong, but you got people here that have lived here for a long, long, and they're sitting here, coming back here over and over. I'm fighting this, and there's a question: doesn't nobody want to know why? Why they don't think this is a good idea for them? It's just the guy who was a stranger here signed his paper saying, "Give me water, give me sewer," and the hell with these guys over here. I hate to say it, but that's what they're saying, and that's where we're at right now. We're stuck in a position where we're fighting our own city to keep us from getting hurt, and I don't think that's right. That's not the way we should do business. We should have all sat down as people, friends, and everything, and said, "We're getting ready to annex you. We're thinking about it. What do you think about this? Give me your input," and listen to me. They should have listened. I've been here 50 years. I've watched Sebring go all over the place. I've seen it go here, there. I've seen it grow, and nobody cares what I have to say. And right now, you're getting ready to vote, boom, boom, boom. You're done. See you later. I just don't think that's right. That's not the way to be treated by your own city. That's what I feel about it. And I said, it's just disappointing to me, to be honest with you. I have no say in what goes on in my place. And I'm 5 miles from downtown Sebring. It's not like I live right around the corner. You're reaching across Lake Jackson and grabbing me for no, I mean, and there's other things that seem that could be done. The money, I think, could be put to use way better than what you guys are trying to do. That's what I feel about it. That's how I feel. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilman? Oh.
Griffin's gonna make it.
Oh,
I have,
Oh, you got it.
I'm sorry. Billy reminded me things. Of course, I've been here 47 years, love Sebring. When the businesses come to town, and when Walmart built their super center and Chili's and Bob Evans and all, what is the typical dealing that they have, like with the city when they annex, as far as paying taxes? I mean, are they given so many years before they have to actually pay the taxes? Are they given a break? We know that big businesses, you know, they come in and they bring a lot of taxes and all, I mean, taxes for other things than just property taxes, but isn't it kind of customary that they're given like a free ride for so many years?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
No?
The county has,
When Walmart came in, they had to put their own sewer lines and all out to it and paid for that whole thing, and then got some rebates when other people hooked onto them.
Didn't I read something about the shops at Shelby Crossing, that they're not annexed yet, or are they allowed, they're
They're being
annexed?
They are
in-
being annexed.
They're
in this
being
section.
annexed, so but they've had city water and city sewer
They
prior
signed-
to
yeah,
being
correct.
annexed.
They signed a declaration of covenant.
But they hadn't paid, they've been there, what, 3-4 years now, and they haven't paid any city property taxes? Okay, that's kind of, I guess, what I'm saying, you know, they have the benefit of the water and the sewer, but they're not paying the taxes, so you all haven't collected on them. I mean, I don't know why you didn't annex them when they did connect. I mean, I'm sure there's legal reasons.
Because we have to, if we're going to take people who already got city water and did not sign covenants like some people did, back when SUC was doing it and they had declined to do what the city asked them to do, they said, no, we want to go ahead and just shoot it all out there. They got it, didn't agree. So you take the people who are coming in and will agree to it, and then you can bring in those beside them who've had the water for 10 years, 15 years, or 20 years, but did not agree to come in.
So they've pretty much still gotten a free ride in some respects.
Everybody out there.
Right, right. I know when Billy was talking about that they hadn't tried to annex the property. Well, you know, I'm older than Billy is, and I remember when his father and Russ Albritton and us and Eldridge Pollard, I mean, it was over 30 years ago when we bought the property, 87 to now. But we fought it and we were successful because we were all small businesses, you know, and now, I mean, and John Griffin, we all were active in that, and, you know, we've been successful businesses. Most of them are still in business, providing taxes in one way or another. So, you know, I'm repeating everything that I said 2 weeks ago, but, you know, we don't feel like we need to be in the city of Sebring. We're not even close to the city of Sebring. We don't have a problem with the fire or police protection or anything, but, you know,
I suspect that the person that you sell your property to is going to want all those things. And
unless
if
it's
you're in, you can get them.
Right.
If he's out, he can't
Right.
without it.
unless it's the man that has a lease with an option to buy now. You know, I have a lease in place. And he's a big businessman. I mean, he does mega millions of dollars worth of business down in Bonita and Miami, and he's come up here because he manufactures sheds. I went into his new business a few days ago for the first time, and I guess I was impressed. I thought it was just gonna be like the other shed business that we had before, and just sort of a, you know, very unprofessional type. This man knows his stuff, and he's training people, and he's bringing a bigger staff. So, you know, when he does buy it, he already has plans to landscape the property and, you know, so who knows? But yes, if somebody bigger comes in, like we've had the other offers over the years, they would need it. That's why we had lost the business before. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Tom Griffin.
Good evening.
Just a few comments. I've been meeting with and talking with people from the city for the last week and a half, and everybody has been very helpful, very easy to work with, and I wouldn't have expected anything less. You guys are, you know, you're dedicated to the city of Sebring, and I think we can all appreciate that. Obviously, you know, as a person who's getting annexed, we may have disagreements about it. And I would just like to bring those out so they're out in public. Everybody knows, have discourse, maybe make some changes, change some minds. You know, every day for 27 is a thriving, somewhat thriving section of the county. We can all agree about that. All of our businesses have worked hard over the years out there to make it like that. But every day it gets harder to be in business, no matter where you're at, no matter how thriving the area is, especially for brick and mortar businesses. You know, we're constantly fighting uphill battle against the internet, the sales tax law, the insurance laws. We've got a new amendment now that passed where all of our minimum wages that we pay people are going to go up. Some businesses are already paying more, or they have people that work by the piecework. But a lot of those businesses on 27 do have hourly employees. It's going to affect them quite a bit. When I've asked questions about, and granted, we did sign the consent form. We signed it many years ago to come into the city. But to me, what that means is that I can come and voice my opposition. I just can't bring a lawyer here and have some sort of lawsuit, right? I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. You know, I don't have to come along happily. But, you know, that's to me what the consent form means. So when you say people have consented, you know, there's two sides to that kind of phrase. But I've asked people about, you know, well, how much money is this going to raise? And kind of have an idea, you know, from what I've been told, somewhere between $1 million to 1.5 million. Scott, I think that's the conversation we kind of had.
It will generate at least, it's gonna generate I'm gonna say very close to 1.5 million as a minimum. There are other taxes out there that we just do not know the answer to, and we can't get those answers because we don't know we don't know that information. We know what percentages they made, like communication services tax. There's a 5% communication services tax, but I have no idea how much money that's going to generate on this corridor because I don't have the information. You know, it's private information, if you will.
So we can agree that there's unknowns on the revenue side, and we can agree that there's also unknowns on the cost side, because we don't know, well, from the questions that I've asked, you know, what are the, you know, decreases in the utility revenues versus the increases in the utility costs for running new lines or providing additional services to those areas. A little bit unknown. Solid waste, a little bit unknown. We may need a truck, we may not need a truck. We're going to need more dumpsters. We have people that have contracts that we don't know when we'll be able to bring them into the city. Just heard comments about, well, there's a line there, but we don't know where, kinda, and if it works, or, you know, there's just, you know, so I guess my point is, it seems like we're dealing with kind of a short-term solution to a long-term problem. that needs a little bit more of a comprehensive plan, a little bit more of, like Bill mentioned, you know, bringing in everybody, like Kurt mentioned, having some planning sessions so that we come along and we want to be involved in the process rather than take it or leave it. You signed, you got the water, that's it, said and done. So if we're in the city, we want to be in the city. We want to be happy about being in the city. We want to be involved in the decisions. Even though we won't be able to vote, we can still come here and talk to you guys and voice our opinions. But we'd rather do that in a growth mode rather than, you know, I'm here paying a lot of extra taxes to make up for previous years where maybe the planning or the taxation was not done correctly. So that's why I say this is a short-term solution to a more comprehensive problem. Because based on some of the numbers I saw for previous shortfalls over the last 2 or 3 years, this may or might not even cover that. And from the discussions that I had with some of you gentlemen, the costs of these departments is rising dramatically. And, you know, I don't really want to be back here in another year when we're talking about a millage rate and I'm already in the city and now we're talking about another rate increase. You know, it's just, let's, like Bill said, we'd like to have a big picture here where everybody's involved and we can all work together on what's great for both the city and the county. You know, we're all interjoined. You know, we're in the county, we're in the city. I go in the city, I go in the county, I spend money in the city, I spend money in the county. Everything is interjoined here. So I would ask that you guys consider, first of all, canceling the idea, but if that doesn't work, delaying the plan and maybe taking a step back. And if nobody shows up and nobody comes to the planning, you know, shame on them. Move forward. But you never know. You might get 20 or 30 businesses that roll in and say, hey, we want to work together with you guys. I don't know. So, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilman? Any comments? We'll close the hearing. 10D, ordinance 1456, annexing property on US 27, Audi area, second reading, background attached. Please find ordinance 1456. This ordinance will annex property on US 27 north of Audi Supermarket. The property consists of 9 parcels totaling 12.51 acres. The ordinance is on your agenda for second final reading. Mr. Swain?
The ordinance is entitled, an ordinance annexing the property on US Highway 27 North in the Aldi area, lying in a portion of the west one-half of Section 23, Township 34 South, Range 28 East, Highlands County, Florida, into the city of Sebring, Florida, and establishing an effective date.
Thank you. Any comments? Everybody's been mighty quiet.
For a motion?
Well, no, I wanted to say something. I've been a councilman, this is my 7th year, and this is something we've talked about for 7 years, the council has. And it's not something we just come up with over the last year or so. We've talked about it. We know that the city has to grow. If it doesn't grow, we don't get in more funds. We could be in a fix like a city that's not far from us. So, you know, this is not something we're taking lightly. This is not something we all think, oh, you know, this is going. We're doing this to fix a problem that's we have. We're doing it to better our city. And you know, I've been here 71 years, so I've seen Sebring grow. I was born here, So I've seen Sebring change a whole lot since I've been here. So, almost 72 years. So, I just want to say to everyone that comes and talks to us, we appreciate your input. I do. And I thank you for your input. Things like this doesn't make, this is one of the hardest things we do as councilmen, is make decisions that is not taken very good sometimes. So I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 1456 on second and final as presented.
I'll second it.
Any more comments? A motion, a second? Oh, yes, ma'am.
I could tell when you were saying that sometimes you have to say things that aren't very popular, you know, that you were going to approve it. But I still wonder why, you've been on the council 7 years, I don't know how long the rest of you gentlemen have been on the council, but why did you, we've always needed money. I mean, we used to live in the city of Sebring for probably, I think, 27 years until recently. Why do the other big businesses, like the shops at Shelby Crossing, for example, why have you not collected money from them? I mean, why are you not doing something? I mean, was it so good before that you didn't need to say, you know, they're getting our services, why don't we annex them before? I know that Scott had said something about a percentage. There had to be a certain percentage of everybody that signed. And just like, I guess I'm thankful that you've only got one parcel of our 3. It's the largest one, but it doesn't make any sense to me that if you're going to run any water or sewer, why these businesses do not have city water and sewer either. They have the possibility of water, but they don't have sewer. And it's been a long time that we've been talking about this. And when somebody said, you know, ask the Haymakers to show you where the sewer line was. Well, again, that was before the state came in and they widened the highway. Those sewer lines may not be there now. But why in the world, after all this time that you've been entertaining this annexation, doesn't somebody know for sure? Why hasn't somebody gone out there with a shovel or, you know, and tried to find something? I mean, it just can't be that government doesn't work in a reasonable way like anybody would if it was your own business. When we're out there, you know, we're out there with shovels and doing things ourselves, but you don't have answers for us. And now it's like, I know you're already saying you're gonna vote on annexing it. Well, if you're gonna annex our property and we're not going to get what we should get, what everybody else has, I will have to take, you know, look further into it. You know, I mean, there's got to be other places that can tell you that you're not doing this right, that are higher up than what you are.
Well, it's my understanding that you will have sewer and water available to you by ordinance. The state ordinance says that we will provide that available to you.
In writing, we'll have the agreement?
I believe it's a state
It's
ordinance.
a state
isn't it?
ordinance.
Right, I know, I read that.
Well, it's in the state ordinance. We can't go against the state.
Right, so you will have that available
Well, that's
to
the
you
first
if you're
time
annexed.
that I've actually heard somebody say,
Said
we'll
the
have
same
it.
thing last meeting.
The question on the sewer is, what is it that's going to be put there? You wouldn't run a line hoping you ran the correct size line to that before you knew what the use was going to be. Some businesses would use far more and need a lot bigger line than others, so.
Well, as I said, the whole block there, right to, up to Murphy's.
Ma'am, you need to
Not
come.
that there now. You can't.
The line that you've seen leaking is probably not existent.
I know, that,
And we
exactly.
don't, you know, we buy sewer systems and water systems as a city, and we don't always get maps. So we don't just
Right.
take shovels and go out and start digging, hunting, things we don't even know where they're at. You know, so we do things properly. You know, we're not,
On our property, we bought 3 lots individually. We bought a 125-foot frontage in the center, and then we bought the north one from Marty Young's family, and then we bought the south lot from some people from Brazil. And there is, in each one of our parcels, there is the, I think it's a 25-foot right-of-way? Is that what it, 25-foot right-of-way for utilities and all. So even if the old line is not there, and the one that had bubbled up the sewage, you know, in front of our property back in the 80s, you know, there is a right-of-way, and we've told all of our tenants and anybody before, we have the map that shows the right-of-way, but if you're gonna put sewer lines there, why aren't you gonna annex the other, well, like where Gary Blackman is, I think it's the Pontius property, and then that little strip shopping center, I talked to some of the owners of the businesses in there, and I know they don't have the sewer, they all have septic tanks. That seems like it would make sense if you're gonna spend the money to bring it there, that you'd annex the rest of them. And, you know, I don't wanna get in trouble with anybody else for saying that, but, you know, I see a map.
but we can't just annex people.
If they wanted to hook up to the sewer, then they would be required to annex.
Uh-huh. Okay.
We have a percentage
Or
that we
just
have
leave-
to, we have to have a percentage of property to be able to do what we're doing.
It has to be more than 50% of the parcels and more than 50% of the acreage.
Right, I know,
50%.
right.
So if we'd had a couple more, we could take those more.
So if you annex our property, then we don't have to start paying any city taxes until such time as we have the services? Is that the way
No.
it works?
You start paying taxes, what,
21.
2021?
Why? If we, I mean,
You're not paying taxes for the water of the sewer. You get the sewer when you need the sewer and you have some idea of what that sewer is required for. Just like I said the last time we had the thing. My house is in the city.
right,
They have to give me sewer. But I cannot make them put a lift station down at my house and pump it back
Right.
up the hill.
Right.
I had to put a septic tank.
right.
And you're in the same
And
situation.
I
If you
know.
have somebody, you sell to somebody who needs a 6-inch water main and a, I don't know, 8-inch sewer main, and they're gonna build something that size in there, then the city's gonna provide them with that size.
Well, let me ask you this, since we're the only vacant property there, I mean, and I say vacant, I mean, we have tenants on there right now, but we're the only one where somebody could theoretically go in and build a big business on it because they already have buildings there. You know, are you going to put that in like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, pardon me?
When it's needed. You put things in when they're needed, like Bob was saying, if you know that you wouldn't go in there and put a 10-inch water main down through there, not having any idea what anybody's gonna build.
All right, so my tenant needs a sewer.
Let me help a little bit. First of all, what we're proposing is put in a force main. So when you put in a force main, you're gonna connect it, we're gonna pump that sewage to another location.
That's the same way it was
Right.
before, right,
Exactly.
right.
So in doing so, and Bob Boggs can probably explain this better than I can, but one, you have to size the force main for everybody that's gonna connect properly,
Mhm.
right? And then when you put your service in to connect to it, you're gonna have to have some type of force system, or that property
Right.
owner is gonna have to have
Right.
some type of force main that can connect to that, and I'm gonna say overcome the pressure of what that force main will be.
That's no
So it's no different than the water requirement.
It's no
So-
different than when we lived in the city of Sebring and they put the sewer in and we had to pay to connect to it. But if you're gonna build something that is like for our property only, the one vacant lot that somebody could build something on, and not plan for these other businesses.
The numbers that I gave are for that entire stretch. So
Okay.
our intent wouldn't be to go in and just put in a line just to serve your property. We would wanna run a line that services everything south of Murphy Oil all the way down to Hayes
But you're
Road.
only proposing to annex our property and the doctor's and Jimmy Hayes's property. That's just
That's
three,
all
and
we
then,
can-
I mean.
That's all we can annex, right?
Right, because, but the other people had already signed saying they agreed to it, because it's in the green, and that's what I'm understanding, you know, it is. So there's 3 parcels that haven't signed an agreement to do it.
Right. Well, one's on the east side of the road, it's a little harder to see. But as the line, if the line's installed north of yours, like,
This one right there?
over
No,
on the
the other side.
yellow on the
Oh,
right side of the road.
Oh.
So if the line's extended beyond yours that's in the black bounded area, it includes yours, your 2 above that, and then all the way up, everyone who hooks in has to sign a voluntary declaration of covenant, and
Right.
at which time the city could then annex all of those users to the north. So
And
that
I understand that completely.
it's not like we wouldn't ever look to annex those properties.
It just seems as though it said, get it in writing, and I suppose that there's a public record of this hearing and all. You know, it said any verbal commitment's not worth the paper that it's not written on. But,
It's in writing. The state ordinance says that we have to provide that to you if
Right.
you're annexed into the city.
Right.
So it's in
right,
writing.
yes, I brought that up 2 weeks ago, and
Right.
people said, is that true? And, you know,
Sure,
Mr.
it
Swain
is.
agreed.
But here, let me try to explain it too. Maybe between all of us, we'll make it a little clearer. But right now, if we go in and you only need a 3-inch sewer line for your property, and we put in a 3-inch sewer line, and then you sell your property to somebody that needs a 6-inch, we gotta go back and redo it. That's wasting our taxpayer money. We don't
Right.
wanna do that.
Right.
We wanna find out what's gonna go in there so we know what size pipe to put in there.
All right, I think what would probably ease my mind a lot then is I have a letter from Mr. Bogus about that water is available. Can we have a letter saying that the sewer is available to somebody?
Well, it's not available yet, but
No, the
unless you went
sewer-
under the road.
Right, but that the city will put the sewer line in, because if we do not sell to the man that is leasing right now, and, you know, who knows, because it's a valuable piece of property, and it's, every deal, we've told you how many deals had just gone by the way because we couldn't bring the sewer in before, because nobody would give me a letter saying sewer was available. We had the letter saying water was available. Can we have a letter saying sewer will be available at such time as it's needed?
The reason it wasn't available before because you weren't in the city. You will now be in the city, so by
Right.
state ordinance,
But
we
I
have
mean-
to make it available.
But you usually would ask somebody, like anybody that came in to build, well, no, I guess you don't, because like they built a shopping center and you didn't say you gotta annex it, but they signed an agreement to annex it, but it wasn't. But I guess that I'm just saying is, can I have a letter from the city of Sebring, if we are annexed there, saying water and sewer are available at such time that it's needed?
It will,
Pardon me?
it will be available, but not available now. Water's available.
Right.
Sewer's not. But back to what they were saying before, until you know what's going in there, if you put
I-
in a 4-story building.
Right. I understand
it's
that.
gonna take-
You know, the Haycock building is a beautiful building, and, you know, we could have a property, you know, a building that size. But just, nobody would ever give us a letter saying that we could have sewer.
Can we give her
I
a copy
know.
of the state statute? That's the letter.
I have that.
Well,
That's the
that
letter.
says
She
that
read it to
you,
you last time.
right, that says that
Okay.
you have the availability for water and sewer, and you can tell that to a prospective client who's looking to purchase your property.
We've had 5 realtors, and one realtor from New York City that goes to Las Vegas, goes to all these big conventions, because he's telling us what wonderful, you know, what a wonderful piece of property we have and a nice area and all that. And when I couldn't provide a letter because we weren't annexed,
Mhm.
you know, that ruined the deal.
Right.
But I believe that will help us, and I've already said we're willing to be annexed as long as, okay, if you're annexed, we have the ordinance.
Correct.
Yeah.
All
It's
right,
yours.
in writing.
Yes.
But I'd wanna see something, you know,
Well, that's pretty legal. It's pretty
That
legal.
overrides us,
Yeah,
the
I
state
know.
overrides
I
us.
know. But y'all didn't even know that before the meeting 2 weeks ago.
Yes,
You
ma'am, we
didn't.
did.
We did.
Well,
That's
some
why
of
they're
you may
included in the
have.
map. That's why those maps are included in
State
the
statute.
Right, right.
report.
This is not the first time we've done this.
I know.
We did the south end, it was the same law then.
Okay. Well, I only said that because I think it was Mr. Ivy that said, is she right? You know, and you said yes. And, you know, I like things in writing, and I have the letter from Mr. Bogus. So this, thank you all, and I will go sit down and you can.
Thank you. Sure, come on up.
This is about to get off base a little bit, but
Good.
my question is, why was the Dan Cesarby torn down? Why didn't the city of Sebring take a place like that, that is the heart and soul of downtown Sebring, and put their emphasis on fixing that? Santa Rosa
We didn't
looked the
own
way-
it.
The Santa Rosa looked, they could have owned it.
Okay.
Why the Rosa look the way it does, and it's sitting there like that, and the other end of our town, the Kenilworth, is like that.
Yeah.
That is what the Sebring city is supposed to be working on, I feel like. You enter our town and you got a beautiful hotel boarded up. Yeah, that's the entrance to Sebring. Then you go around the corner and our banks, which we don't have any banks downtown. Why nobody asked why all our banks left? I know you got one. We talked about it on the way here. But
It's got banks on it too now,
Our
so-
banks are now parking lots.
He's
and
got
the other one's a
sewer,
flea
too.
market. These people all
I
left
pay city tax.
Sebring. Yeah, that's good. I appreciate it. These people all left town. Nobody asked why they were leaving. They all went on 27. They all went. We got a flea market in Barnett Bank. Barnett Bank was a bank when I was a kid. That was it. All these places are, like I said, the Kenilworth, a beautiful building. It's more. Why are we working on the other side of Lakeview Drive, the other side of Sebring, rather than fixing our nice little town that we have here right now? That's my question. I look at it. At least 20 to 25% of the buildings downtown Sebring are vacant. Nobody's in these buildings. Why don't we try and drag people back into Sebring? Not force them back in like we're doing right now. Have people want to come back. I would love to sit here right now and say, I would love to be part of downtown Sebring. I want to be that, but financially, I'm not in the position to say that. And I'm sure a lot of people who are renting downtown can't afford to be downtown. I feel like that's what we should be working on more than we should be working on trying to put a $5 million sewer line down 27. I feel like we should make downtown Sebring a place where people want to come to. When me and my wife, we travel a lot in our motorhome. We park and we get in our car and we go to the historic downtown wherever we go. And we either love the town because of that or hate it because of that. And downtown Sebring is really not trying to knock downtown Sebring. It's pretty empty. It's, it's pretty, and I think that's where we should be emphasizing the city of Sebring should be working on. That's what I
That's
think.
what CRA is doing right now.
Okay, I understand that. But in the meantime, it's
Yeah,
I'm
well-
not knocking it's not being done. I mean, it's not. I
Right.
mean, like I like
Yeah,
the Kenilworth
Hank-
and Santa Rosa, two beautiful places.
Yeah.
I mean,
Owned by the same guy.
right, they should be fixed. They've been like that for 15 years. The Santa Rosa, been sitting just like that with a fence around it with grass growing out of the roof. You know what I mean? It's like
The Historic Preservation Commission now meets regularly. You may want to take that up with them.
okay.
You may find-
like,
you may find
in
kindred
my
spirits.
mind, me being a simple person, it's the city of Sebring, and this is the city of Sebring Council. That's what I say. That's what I'm.
I think you have to understand, Billy, there is a lot of stuff that we're
I
trying to do.
understand. Oh, I understand, but
it's not just for
I understand,
I mean,
but
your
what-
business is on the Highway Y.
My business is
because that's
downtown
where the
Sebring
traffic
also
is.
there.
Yeah, I know you are.
Yeah.
And you're right on the corner too.
Right,
So.
uh-huh.
But I mean, a big portion of the businesses are out there because of the traffic flow. That sucked it out of downtown. We're trying to change
Let me
it
ask you a
around.
question.
CRA's
then.
doing the same thing.
Why would a guy take a chance of being down by 98 with a little hot dog stand? He's gonna hope somebody pulls in going 70 miles an hour down the road, or a little coffee stand. Why would he be way out there rather than being downtown Sebring? What's the chance of that guy pulling over and buying a hot dog or a sandwich from that guy or something? If he was downtown Sebring, you would think that would where he'd want to be, but he doesn't want to be. Why? Why? That's what that we should be asking each other. Why? I think that's where Sebring needs work. I love downtown Sebring, but I go by, I see this building empty, this building empty, this building empty. It's sad. It really is.
Bernard,
Yeah.
Make a comment, and
Okay.
I'm the newest guy here.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm the newest guy in town, too.
Right.
I've been around 7 years, but so nothing compared to what a lot of the people are. But one of the things, I had the same questions,
Mhm.
moving here about downtown. You talk to some of the people, you find out that people who don't live here own a lot of those buildings.
Exactly.
And they think they're in West Palm Beach, and they think they can get a rent of such, that a guy can't, a person, a business, small business, can't afford it. we can't make them, you know, lower the rent for
Sure,
these people.
I understand that.
So we have a problem with that, is one of the things, and then CRA has the same idea as you did on there, and they're working on that.
Right.
Because they just purchased a couple of those empty buildings, and they're going to try to make that where people can afford to come downtown, new
Right.
businesses. Secondly, the Nancessa, we have carpetbaggers that come in here, I call them carpetbaggers. They come in here, they buy these buildings at a low price because they're vacant. Then they see if they can find somebody to invest, and they didn't. This guy screwed us.
Right. I heard
royally.
that. I heard all
And the
that.
CRA, in my opinion, I'm
Right.
saying that, because it was unsafe. The building's unsafe. Now we got a liability situation.
But I feel like, I'm not interrupting you,
Yeah.
I feel like that, I graduated in 1981. My senior yearbook was Nancessa. That was the name of my book. That's how great that place was to this town, and it's sitting on the ground right now.
Yeah.
That was wrong.
And
That was
the
wrong.
Kenilworth is
We should have
right
put
there.
whatever we had to put in that place, and not worried about sewer lines,
Yeah.
to make that place be our center of Sebring.
Well, the truth is the money that it would take
It
to
wouldn't matter.
refurbish that.
It don't matter. You get that point? It don't matter.
It does if you don't have it.
That's downtown Sebring.
Yeah, but Billy, where's the money coming from? It don't matter. You got your money. We
Well,
don't.
I mean, really, the CRA gets money away. That building should have been fixed up. Anything in Sebring.
You
That
can't
should've been-
fix up something that's not yours.
Yeah, I understand, but
We
could've
didn't
been-
own
It could
it.
have been at one time. It could have been Sebring. I mean,
One other-
we owned Harder Hall at one time, right?
Yeah, but we
Mistake.
were that
I
was
know
to go
it was.
there.
I'm just saying it was done before.
Well, we
this
wasn't
was
on
in the
the-
heart of downtown Sebring. Now there's a big hole there. It's just it was sad watching it come
Well,
down.
I
know-
understand.
I knew you guys had a problem with it.
I
too.
graduated in '67,
Right.
and the book was an Ancessa way.
Right.
And,
Right, that's what
and
I'm
I hate
saying,
to
see?
see it too, but
Yeah.
you know,
It's just that I feel like we dropped the ball on that right there. I feel like the town of Sebring did, and now we're going after things that I don't really think the town is ready for yet. That's what I feel about
Here's a
it.
point. We're sitting here talking about annexation, and people are not happy about, they're gonna have to pay some extra money.
Right.
Okay?
It's not all that.
If we're gonna do refurbishing these buildings, that's a lot of money. So if I said, hey, let's have a special assessment on everybody in the city that we dedicate toward rebuilding the Kenilworth or now the Santa Rosa, we'd probably have a lot more people in here.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying, special assessment, because it'd have to be fairly hefty assessment. People, it's tough. People don't want to pay more.
Just so you'll understand what the position I'm in, that's why I'm here
Right, yeah.
speaking today, is because I've owned this piece of property, me and my brother and my dad first, since 1971. We did whatever it took to keep 100% occupancy in that place because we couldn't afford to have empty places in there. And we lowered our prices. We did whatever we had to do. My square footage, believe it or not, because I've asked, on 27 across from the mall is lower than downtown Sebring per square foot. That's what we had to do
Yeah.
to keep our place going every day.
But we
And
don't control that. That's
I
what I'm
understand
saying
that,
now,
but
yeah. And that's
to
good.
come out there and to have these people's taxes that high and see it doesn't help their rent none either. They got higher taxes. I got a building downtown that's probably a tenth of what I have on 27, and the taxes are almost half for that. So I mean, the taxes are. I understand the whole thing, but people need to sit down and discuss this and see what do we have to do to make it affordable to come back downtown Sebring. And that's the problem right now. Like I said, I'm just up here saying because we're talking about sewer lines, we're talking about this and that, when a historic building just got torn down in our town.
but
That's-
we can't control what people ask for rent.
I understand that. I
You know,
understand that.
so that's
I
out of our
understand
hands.
that. I do understand what you're saying, but like I say, myself, I have to lower do whatever I have to do to keep the people in my place.
And they should do the same
Right.
thing, but they're not
They don't
doing
do
it.
it.
Well, like I said, I was just going back to, as I'm sitting here talking about sewer lines and stuff, I'm driving into downtown Sebring, and I'm looking at, like I say, back to Kenilworth, beautiful building that's boarded up. I'm looking at the Santa Rosa, because I'm right across the street from there, I'm with my place. I'm looking at this place, got grass growing out of the roof, and it's a shame. And I think the city of Sebring should find a way to emphasize on that kind of stuff more than they should going out. And that's what I feel about it. Maybe I'm wrong. I understand I understand that part of it, but I think the money could be generated in this town, and a lot of money could be saved in this town if things were done, run a tighter ship. That's what I feel about it. And like I say, right now, like I say, you go downtown Sebring right now, and you drive down there as a tourist, and you see this big building laying on the ground. That's what it looks like, and it's sad. I mean, I think somehow or another we should have had 10 meetings in here to find out how to fix
They
this
had
place.
much more than that.
Yeah, yeah, well.
They had a lot more meetings than that.
Really, I'm not, okay, well, I'm just curious how that happened, how the town has even let that happen, you know, and that's all, you know.
They have struggled
Understand.
Really?
against it, the whole trying to stop it the entire
Really,
way.
yeah,
And it,
just didn't happen.
this was the final thing, it was gonna fall down.
Right,
then
I
go
saw it looked
down.
bad, for no doubt about it.
It was already falling in.
Yeah, I saw that, I just thought maybe that being the center of our town, you know, it should have been there still. Well, thanks for your
Thanks.
time, I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we have a motion and a second. As bad as I hate to say this, pull the board.
Detman. Ivy.
Yes.
Lorenz.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Carlisle.
Yes. Where are we at? 10E.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is 10E. New business. Public hearing ordinance 1457, annexing property on US 27, Allen J. IHOP area. The purpose of this hearing, the city is considering annexing property on US 27 North in the Allen J. IHOP area. The property consists of 11 parcels totaling 16.4 acres. More than 50% of the total area and 50% of the owners have consented to annexation. The purpose of the public hearing is to receive public comments. Following the public hearing, the council will consider ordinance 1457, the second reading. Mr. Swain.
You'll see on the map here, this is the southernmost of the area being annexed in. And it, again, is the land inside the black marked area. And the green parcels, or parcel shaded in green, have signed consents to annexation. Those in orange have not. And you've read the ratio of those yeses and nos in the acreage. So with that, I think we're ready for
Okay.
questions and comments.
Public comments. Anyone? Councilman? Close the hearing. 10F, ordinance 1457, annexing property on US 27, Allen J. IHOP area, second reading. Background attached, please find ordinance 1457. Ordinance will annex properties on US 27 North in Allen J. IHOP area. The property consists of 11 parcels totaling 16 acres. The ordinance is on your agenda for second and final reading.
The ordinance is entitled, an ordinance annexing the property on US Highway 27 North in the Allen J. IHOP area, lying in portions of the southwest quarter of Section 25 and the southeast quarter of Section 26, Township 34 South, Range 28 East, Highlands County, Florida, into the city of Sebring, Florida, and establishing an effective date.
Thank you. Any comments? Any motions?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve ordinance 1457 on second and final reading as presented.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any comments? If not, Kathy? Poll the board.
Ivy.
Yes.
Lorenz.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Carlisle.
Yes. Okay, this is 10G, public hearing ordinance 1458, annexing property on US 27, Home Depot, Lowe's area. Purpose of the public hearing, the city is considering annexing properties on US 27 north in the Home Depot, Lowe's area. The property consists of 35 parcels totaling 159.16 acres. More than 50% of the total area and 50% of the owners have consented to annexation. The purpose of the public hearing is to receive public comments. Following the public hearing, the council will consider ordinance 1458 on second and final reading. Mr. Swain?
You'll see, Scott, can you bring up the Home Depot area, please, sir? This is the second southernmost. If Aldi's the northernmost, this is the next one down. This is the largest area being annexed, and again, inside the black bounded line, greens are yes votes, orange are nope, we don't have a consent for annexation. And with that, we'll move to comments and questions.
Okay, any comments or questions? Council? Close the hearing. 10H, ordinance 1458, annexing property on US 27, Home Depot, Lowe's area, second reading. Attached find ordinance 1458, the ordinance will annex property on US 27 North in the Home Depot, Lowe's area. The property consists of 35 parcels totaling 159.16 acres. The ordinance is on your agenda for second and final reading.
The ordinance is entitled, an ordinance annexing the property on US Highway 27 North in the Home Depot, Lowe's area lying in portions of Section 23 and Section 26, Township 34 South, Range 28 East, Highlands County, Florida, into the city of Sebring, Florida, and establishing an effective date.
Thank you. Is there any comments, motions?
Make a motion, we approve ordinance 1458 on second and final reading as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Does anyone have any comments? If not, poll the board.
Detman. Ivy.
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Sirdike.
Yes. Okay, 10I, public hearing ordinance 14, this is a, public hearing. 1459 annexing properties on US 27 Outback Pier 1 area. Purpose of the public hearing, the city is considering annexing on US 27 North in the Outback Pier 1 area. The property consists of 21 parcels totaling 22.46 acres. More than 50% of the total area and 50% of the owners have consented to the annexation. The purpose of the public hearing is to receive public comments. Following the public hearings, council will consider ordinance 1459 on second and final reading.
Scott, can you switch to the Outback Pier 1, please, sir? You'll see the area is a little, not as broad on this one. Area, again, inside the black bounded line. Greens are consents for annexation. Orange do not have a consent for annexations. With that, we'll move to questions and comments.
Any public input or comments? Any councilmen? Close the public hearing. Okay, 10J, ordinance 1459, annexing property on US 27, Outback Pier 1 area, second reading. Background attached, find ordinance 1459. This ordinance will annex properties on US 27 North in the Outback Pier 1 area. The property consists of 21 parcels totaling 22.46 acres. The ordinance is on your agenda for second and final reading.
The ordinance is entitled, an ordinance annexing the property on US Highway 27 North in the Outback Pier 1 area lying in a portion of the east half of Section 26, Township 34 South, Range 28 East, Highlands County, Florida, into the city of Sebring, Florida, and establishing an effective date.
Thank you. Any comments? Any motions?
I make a motion, we approve ordinance 1459 on second and final reading as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Kathy?
Detman.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Sirdike.
Yes. Okay, 10K, Community Redevelopment Agency Department Service Approval, David Lydell.
Good evening, council members and staff. My name is David Lydell, chairman of the Sebring CRA. Under the current master plan from 2004, the CRA was given the task to research bond feasibility for financing major public facilities. The executive director of the CRA and myself began that process more than a year ago, and we consulted with Mr. Swain, who referred us to a municipal bond attorney who worked with the Sebring International Airport CRA in the past. Through that process, we consulted with the investment banking department of Raymond James Financial Group. It was at this point that we determined that the amount of financing the CRA could take on, which led us towards seeking a commercial loan. The size of the debt that we are seeking was not large enough to warrant the cost of issuing a bond. Earlier this year, an RFP was issued for a commercial loan for $1.5 million. We plan to secure up to a total of not more than $9.5 million after the master plan has extended the time of the CRA. These funds will be reinvested into the CRA district for large projects such as real estate acquisition and property renovation. As the granting authority of the CRA, we ask that you approve our resolution to issue the 2020 note as presented. As stated in the limited obligation of the agency section of the resolution, this note is not a pledge of the faith and credit of any taxing power of the city of Sebring, Highlands County, or the state of Florida, or any political subdivision thereof, other than the limited obligation of the agency payable solely from the pledged funds, aka our TIF revenue. Happy to answer any questions.
Well, I got a few.
Oh, good.
Okay, you go into the master plan, I guess, so what I want to ask you is, how much is it going to cost to update the master plan?
Roughly $100,000. We've already signed a contract for that.
Yeah, okay. And that's basically going to be going over the entire concept of what you want to do, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so, that's my first question. My second question is that also includes the waterfront area, that master plan, would that be correct?
It is included in the master plan, yes.
Okay, so you guys are gonna go out and borrow some money, and I think that this is a good thing, and we just heard from some of the people out here that, the city needs to do something with some of this stuff, and I think this, in general, the concept is a great concept. I am concerned with a couple different areas, though. There seems to be some conflict out there with, let's just say, our historical society and the waterfront area, and what we might want to do with that, and then also with council's feelings on what we do with this $100,000 master plan that we do. Are we going to go with this and spend some of this money, or are we going to stop it like it got stopped before? So what is the will of council a little bit is what I want to know before we go out and borrow, or have you guys borrow a bunch of money and start this process only to have it short-stopped somewhere along the way. So I know again, I'm going to bring up the waterfront because there's it seems to be, you know, some conflict with what we're going to do with that.
As far as the cost for the master plan, I don't think that we have any conflict with anybody else out there. The master plan includes the project of the waterfront property, but we're in the process of finalizing our negotiation with a company to do the development of the waterfront. I think the conflict lies in that area more than anything. And what I mean by that is the first quote that we were given from the design firm to work on the waterfront property, the cost was going to be $350,000. We went back to them. We had budgeted about $150,000, so that was, you know, a lot more than what we were willing to go for. We've gone back to them and asked them to, what do we need to do to get that number down? And one of the things that was mentioned is that we need to reduce the moving parts, if you will, that are in that plan. We had asked them to conduct multiple public meetings and to develop more than one plan design at the end of all of this. If we go, by going back to them and saying, we want to reduce the number of meetings that we have down to one stakeholder meeting and one council meeting, and then develop one plan out of it, meaning that you look at the property that's there and we come up with the best and highest use on one plan, not present two plans that we have to make a choice from, that gets our cost down to the $150,000. The obstacle that's in the way is going to be the permanent structures that are on the property. If you have to design a plan that incorporates them and then design a plan that doesn't incorporate them, it costs $350,000. And once we get that number finalized with the design firm, we plan to come back to council and lay that out, because y'all have signed leases with some of those properties. I will go ahead and tell you that it's our intention to come to you and say, and to ask for your commitment not to renew the lease once they come due. If we have that assurance, then we can move forward even at the $150,000. I don't think it makes sense to go forward with the $150,000 design firm if those buildings are going to get renewed and be a part of it. So that, yeah, we will be coming back. We're in the process right now of looking into what that cost is for demolition and for relocation of the buildings. So where we stand today, we had one firm that just outright said it was $100,000, right? $100,000 per house to move it. We had another, and they did not come and visit the property. They were from out of town. We had a firm.
Canada or what?
Well, southeast, I believe. But we had a firm from the West Coast come over and look at it, and they basically said that they did not think that the buildings were movable at all. Number one, the sites that we were asking them to look at were was the property that the city owns over there by Crenshaw Automotive, with the idea of creating kind of like a heritage village or something like that. But he said that there was no way to move I mean, we're talking specifically about the yellow house, to move that yellow house from that location. The roadways and stuff didn't permit it. You would have to cut the building in half to move it, and by doing so, there were structural until we could identify another location. And his suggestion was for another location would be like the parking lot across the street. That's how far he thinks it could go. So it's probably cost prohibitive, to say the least, to move them.
Well, I want to kind of just ask my other council members, because I can't do this other than in a public meeting. I mean, what, are we going to spend money here or condone, if you will, the CRA to spend money on something that we may or may not do? Or can we have the thought of, let's do a plan, understanding that that's part of the plan?
Can I kind of clarify as far as with the $1.5 million, that is not for the waterfront. That is for downtown rehab and building purchases. I think we ought to separate that out from the other plan. The $100,000 for the master plan has to be done.
Correct.
That's required to do. Then there's the third one, which then brings in the waterfront, and I think that's the three-step process that we're kind of looking at.
So there's two different plans that we're talking about.
Right.
One extends the time, the redevelopment plan, updates project lists and things like that. They are working on that. Another is the planning for that waterfront side.
Right.
This is funds that they have earmarked for
Downtown.
redevelopment of the parcels on Circle that they have acquired, and perhaps the acquisition of additional properties.
Right. However, this does ask for the us to approve the entire $9.5 million. So
The resolution only approves the $1.5 million that come back to you when the master plan gets done, which would extend, the redevelopment plan that extends the time period. They would then come back to ask for the approval of the additional
right. Well,
funds.
according to the recommended actions, it's asking for the $9.5 million.
But the resolution itself refers to the $1.5 million.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't have a problem with the $1.5 million at the present time, but I would like to kind of get some kind of an idea on the master plan and get some commitment from some council members here as to what we may end up doing or not doing with that waterfront before we just waste a bunch of money on plans that we have wasted a bunch of money in the past on that never came to fruition.
Well, up until this moment, we didn't realize it was cost prohibitive to move them. So is there any way to incorporate them into the plan?
Sure.
For $350,000.
No,
And-
well, incorporate it into the plan.
Right, but didn't you say it costs between, one plan was 150 and one plan was 350?
So
To
if
say-
we asked them to develop one plan that really incorporated the input from public hearing, city council and whatnot, stakeholders, and then we also, and whatever that comes out, here's what that looks like. Maybe that incorporates those buildings, maybe it doesn't. But if we have to also have a plan that incorporates those buildings and tries to work in public input, that's when you get to the higher pricing.
The 350.
Correct. So our thought, Christine and I's thought was we would finish getting the services agreement kind of hashed out, and before our board approves it, we would come to you and say, here's what we're limited by, you know, and at that point really ask for, you know, if it's going to be that we are going to move forward without incorporating those buildings, then, you know, will you commit to not re-upping their lease? I mean, that's what it sounds like. That's kind of the route we're headed down, but that's y'all's call. And the issue that is hard is, you know, we're having to commit a significant portion of our revenue, you know, to the cost of the plan, and we don't know what the best use or what the use of the public use is going to be. So, you know, does it need to be a water park? I mean, and we're getting, you know, ideas all over the place right now. Is it incorporate those buildings? Is it not? Does it incorporate half the property and not the other half? You know, can the library be relocated to another spot to where you can, you know, redo the entire place? And then we're not there yet.
Well, personally, I think we need to come up with one set of plans. And spending $350,000 for two sets of plans, I think it's just a waste of money.
We can't afford $350,000.
Yeah. So we need to figure out, I guess, either us as a council or maybe at a workshop or whatever, and talk this over and say, hey, we're either going to incorporate those houses in this set of plans or we're not going to. Is that the best use for that property, to have those couple houses there and leave it the way it is? Or do we have better ideas for that? Now, personally, I think that's our prime property. We just redid the street going down there, and the waterfront, it's just prime property. And I would like to see something better there than what's there now. But that's my opinion. I know you guys have some opinions too, so what do you think? Should we have a workshop and get some more public input before we try to commit to one set of plans or another, or?
I think that's a good idea.
I do too, but aren't we just trying to get the one?
Yes, sir. There are certainly plans for meetings, workshops, stakeholder input as part of that master plan moving forward. I understand you're trying to look at the long term here on the front end of it, and you can certainly do that. These dollars are not spent on doing anything on the waterfront.
This is all downtown.
Okay, the $1.5 million we're talking about.
Right.
But
Yes, sir.
isn't part of that $1.5 million going towards the plans?
No, that was budgeted separately.
Okay.
My
And so-
question, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
You heard what was said tonight. The biggest problem that I see downtown is the people that own these buildings want a certain amount of rent. I think they're trying to get the same amount of rent for downtown as they are out on the highway, maybe more, I don't know. What you're planning on doing, how is that gonna fix that?
Great question. I agree 100% with Councilman Ivy that you have carpetbaggers occupying space down here. The funds are to be used to get those buildings out of their hands. We have a targeted list that we plan to go after and purchase those buildings with these funds and the additional funds that we'll be able to get after the plan is completed. We will put those buildings out for request for proposal, and there's statutory rules for how we have to dispose of property and get those buildings back in use. The master plan will also incorporate a rent subsidy program to try to subsidize some of the rents from people who are asking higher rents that are good landlords down here, to try to encourage them to get those properties rented.
Yeah, well, that's what needs to happen. And I guess my question is it gonna happen?
It's in the
Yeah, I would like to see it happen, because, I agree with what was said tonight. Our downtown is just, it's not downtown no more.
The two buildings we purchased, we are in the process of putting out proposals now. We've got a workshop set for December 14th that our board is going to go through the discussion process of of these issues and try to come up with the plan for what we're looking for downtown, how we're going to get it done, and everything else. It is a slow process from the standpoint of it's about twice as slow on this proposal as it is for any other proposal to dispose of property. So it will probably be somewhere in the, hopefully the February, March timeframe that we will have those back and able to move forward. So that'll be 2 of the buildings, and we will continue once this is approved. Once this is approved, it will actually be making another offer very quickly. 2 offers, actually.
On other properties?
Yes. On the circle.
Good, good, that's great.
Is it fair to ask you what are you proposing to put in these buildings, or is that part of your meeting?
That's the main part of the meeting, and it's also part to determine how does that process look? Is that something that we want to come up with the idea on our own? You know, do we agree as a board, or do we need to have the folks who are working on our master plan weigh in on that as part, which is probably where it'll go. What works in downtowns like ours, you know, bring the expertise in that, you know, we may not have. I've told people that the concept that I would like to see is sort of the downtown Disney celebration, you know, type of thing. You know, the small hometown shop, Main Street America, that people come to. It's a destination to visit our downtown, whether you're a local person from out of town.
Well, I just want to say this, what y'all have done with the circle and what you've done with the road going to the future waterfront, you've done a great job. It's really improved the looks of our downtown. So, and I think that's gonna help maybe draw people, you know, and like the mayor said tonight, there's a man moving here because he loves the city.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people love the city, and that's part of the problem. They love the city, but they don't love what's happening to the city, you know, so.
They need to spend some money in the city.
Well, I agree, Charlie. It's all, you know, the comment, you know, it don't matter how much it costs. Well, it matters to me because it costs money and we don't have it, so. You know, I think y'all, I would have to say, I trust what y'all are trying to do.
Thank you.
I would like to just maybe suggest that we approve the $1.5 million at this time and then see what the master plan looks like before we approve the balance of
And I
that.
think that's what this is about.
Yes.
So you'll make a
I
comment?
don't think they're not asking you to approve the
9.5.
They're asking you to approve resolution 2020-47. It's in your materials. It's limited to the 1.5 million. I think they're trying to tell you everything that they are working on to keep council fully apprised of what projects they have and what their vision going forward is.
Right.
Not asking you to bless all of it at the same time, but just making sure there's no miscommunication between CRA and the city about what it is
Right.
they see as their short and medium term goals.
Right.
I think what's throwing everybody off, it does say
Yeah.
approve securing up to 9.5 million.
Right, yeah, that's the,
In dollars of debt
May I
service,
suggest an edit there?
maybe put a
Yes.
1 in front of that 5.5.
Or just approve resolution 2020-47 as presented? That's good.
I think staff was trying to get something in here with that.
I'll make that
9.5.
motion.
they wanted to raise.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Do we,
I need to state it more clearly.
yeah, state it, because I didn't hear it.
I move that we adopt resolution number 2020-47 as presented tonight.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any comments from the public? Yes, sir.
Good evening, gentlemen and ladies. My name is Bey Gonzalez, B-E-Y, so you have to spell it. I have my business. I chose the downtown Sebring from outside of Sebring, where I was before, and relocated to downtown Sebring. I just don't see what this $1.5 million is doing. I would like to see what it's doing. What do I mean by that? So it seems like we get involved in rhetoric, but no meaning. How are we gonna take downtown the buildings that you already have, that you're already saying, I had no money to do anything with, but I got the buildings, and bring commerce into that area, what steps are you taking to bring the commerce into the area? How are you gonna simplify the process of licensing? You know, so I don't have to go from here to there, to there, to there, to get my license, to give you those $200 that you want. You know, it seems to me that if we want to implement something that's gonna be positive, is to simplify this process where I can give you $200, you already know what the building is, you already have checked it, your fire department does a phenomenal job, they have a list of every building, they have a fire plan for every building. So, that's what I would like to see, so you're gonna just wanna have to simplify those processes, so I don't have to run over town at everybody else's convenience when their offices are open, to get the signatures that I need so I can buy your license. Traffic, how I'm gonna make sure that that yield sign is not a racetrack sign, as it was just last night during Santa. Some young lady or young guy, I don't know who it was, with their fancy car, spinning their tires, multiple complaints to get the police. Police was there, but, you know, so the processes don't determine the actual steps that we need to take to fix these problems. Is that clear? So what am I gonna do to simplify the process for the new business to come in? I'm only gonna have to have my police officer standing there so that guy decides twice before he spins the tire. The other ones are great. The fire, like I said, the fire department, I'm pretty certain they have all the pre-plans for how to attack a fire in certain area. And, you know, I heard one of the meetings that I was here that they put a fire out under 5 minutes.
8 minutes.
8 minutes. That's remarkable. that is a remarkable.
That's
you have
from
no
the-
idea what that means. When the average response in the county a few years back was 5 minutes. So if you take 5 out of 8, how much you got left? You know, so those are the things. So the steps, I think, is more important than just tell me, hey, we want $1.5 million, because the way I see it now, you know, there's 2 buildings. We had no idea what we're gonna do, but we got the buildings. And I haven't heard, in the meetings that I have been to, I have not heard yet, this is what I'm gonna bring there. You know what, I'm gonna tell Mr. Leonard, who wants to start a business here, the first 6 months, you're only gonna pay 20% of the rent, and then in the next 6 months, you go up to 50% of the rent, and then by 2 years on, you'll be 100% of the rent. Because that would be an incentive for me to bring my business.
And
That's part of their plan.
That's part of their plan.
But I have
That's-
not heard the steps.
Well,
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I
they're
think when
still
you want me,
in the-
when you want me to approve a $1.5 million, I wanna know what you're gonna do with it. I wanna know where, how, you know. And a perfect example, Center Street. I have heard that is ADA approved. You know, I was teaching some university students the difference between a book and the application of the book. Any of you take a wheelchair on Center Street and try to get through it on a wheelchair?
We did.
And you did it easily?
Mhm.
Because when I took my grandkid on the stroller, he could get him hanging up on those iron grates. And then not to do the slalom course. You know, and I have a hard time thinking that a wheelchair is going to get through a slalom course, and that the person who is disabled is going to be, yes, this is so nice, let's do it again. You know.
They actually did, they took a wheelchair, we got one from Joni Jones, and we got one of the big wheelchairs to make sure.
I'm just saying,
Yeah,
a
there's-
stroller with 3 wheels is designed big wheel.
Yeah.
It's designed for the woods. And he gets hung up on the iron grate, and now I got to shuffle, you know, the kid strap so he's not gonna fall. And then the slalom course. So there's a difference between what we can put on paper and how we really translate or transliterate into the application, whichever word you want there. English is not my forte. Obviously, I'm not in the teaching English business. But this is what I would like to see, a more clear, so this is how we're gonna bring businesses, these are the changes we're gonna make. Cause right now, you have this building, you wanna buy more buildings, from what I hear he's saying, but I also, I mean, not here, from what I hear. We're gonna buy more but I have not yet said, we have a 10-year plan on how we're gonna maintain these buildings in those 10 years. Because, you know, what's gonna happen is we're gonna get all these buildings that we want to maintain because they preserve memories for many of you that were born here. But we didn't have a dime what to do with them, how to maintain it. So now, you know, we're gonna have to do what Mr. Ivy said and pass a special resolution to special taxing so we can maintain the buildings. And how is that making your citizens happy? Food for thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't take it as criticism. Don't take it as anything personal. I just really think that we need to think these things thoroughly. These plans need to include 5, 10, 15 years. What are we gonna do? How are we gonna pay for this thing? And explain that to the dumb one like me sitting back there that's not understanding half of what's going on. But I hear there were 1.5 million. Thank you for your time.
Well,
Thank you.
one of the things I would like to encourage you, sir, is to come to the workshop on the 14th of the CRA and give us a little input and what can be done, because they do have the long-term plan. And they, from what I'm understanding at the present time, is that these couple buildings are going to go under RFP, which is a request for proposal from different people, and before they just go buy a bunch of buildings and have them all empty.
How many buildings have they bought so far?
Two.
How many buildings are in downtown and Circle?
2
Wow.
in the Circle, 1 additional building.
Do the numbers, percentages?
He's down there.
Mr. Lydell would be, I'm sure, glad to explain their vision for the properties they purchased.
But that's what I said. You know, dumb it down for the dumb people like me, or me primarily, if I come here and sit down so I can understand that. Simple. Again, because, you know, bureaucracy is a rule of cities and government, right? So you can create all kind of bureaucracy and you have all this incredible language. An example, and I don't want to stand here too long and be a critic. The lady wanted a letter for her water thing. It says, once it's annexed, there's no need for the letter because the systems are there for you. And you can have whoever you want to sell call us and we can tell them that. The realtor can call us and you can tell them that. You know, and you guys went over 45 minutes on this discussion about something that the previous week she read that you have to provide this if you annex it. Do you see what I'm saying? There seems to be a little dichotomy on what we see, how it's presented. So maybe that's what needs to happen before we buy anything, is learn how to present things to the people that are seeing it.
And that's what the workshop is for.
I'll be glad to. I'll be glad to. I'll probably be here for some of it for what I can, obviously.
Yeah.
My primary goal is to try to make money, so I give it to all the parties involved, you know. So that's.
But you know, the honest to goodness truth, we need business people to come in here and help us develop the plan, you know, and with all due respect to you know, I'm going to say people in the ivory tower, so to speak, you know, we don't have our boots on the ground all the time, but the people that, you know, we can respect what are giving us the input are the people that are out there working at it. What is it you need? Do you need a rent subsidy? You know, you know, what is it that's going to make businesses come here? You know, I've been in business a long time around here in different businesses, and I have a good concept, and I know some of my fellow council members do too, but we don't have all the answers.
No, I'm not going to have any answers.
So we want to hear from you guys. You tell me, what's going to get you here to
Like I said,
open up your
I'll
business?
probably be here, you know, provided it's not in my time to make money, and it's maybe a recirculation of the people in the positions that has to happen, so you can get fresh blood in those positions, you know.
And we
all the
do
way
have
from
that, I
the
think,
top
with
to-
We
Mr.
have,
Lydell here.
our CRA is
Yeah.
all fresh blood.
It's-
They do way more than their,
It is fresh, but excuse me and pardon me. I applied for the position. I came here to a meeting, and the people had already been chosen. So it's like, why? I'm asking myself, why are they putting this to apply for a position when they already had the people that they wanted in there, which were the same people that were there before? Those are the facts. Food for thought.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
thank you.
Thank you.
Come on up.
Hi guys, I'm Mark Wilson, 883 South Eucalyptus. I moved here about 5 years ago, and the problem I see with the Circle is that the current owners of all the buildings open and close whenever they want. Any city properties that have being bought, and any future leases should have restrictions on when they have to be open, and how many days a week they have to be open. And I would push that onto the private owners as well. Just an idea, so we
Yeah.
keep the circle consistent.
They've done that in the past, right, Christie, where y'all help people, they had to stay at least 3 nights a week and certain hours?
And we did talk about including that in any programs that we had going forward,
Okay.
certain restrictions.
Yeah, there has to be, because you go
Oh,
down
yeah.
there for an event and all the stores are closed.
Yeah, believe me, I know.
Or, you know, the ice cream store is the only place open, they close at 8 o'clock, but the band plays till 10. It's
Yeah.
a mess.
Yeah.
Just an idea. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All righty, folks, we had a motion and we had a second. Kathy?
Have any discussion?
Huh?
I said, we're gonna have any discussion, I was just checking.
Well, we will if you want to. Kathy, please.
Yes, sir. Detman.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Carlisle.
Yes. Okay, we're on 12A. And that is ordinance 1461, amending Sebring Police Officers Retirement Fund, second reading. Please find attached to ordinance 1461, amending the Sebring Police Officers Retirement Fund to maintain compliance with the IRS code. The ordinance was passed on first reading at your November 17th, 2020 meeting and is on your agenda for second and final reading.
That ordinance is entitled an ordinance of the City of Sebring, Florida, further amending the City of Sebring Police Officers Retirement Trust Fund, adopted pursuant to ordinance number 1308 as subsequently amended, amending section 7, pre-retirement death benefits, amending section 10, optional forms of benefits, amending section 16, minimum distribution of benefits, amending section 17, miscellaneous provisions, amending section 28, deferred retirement option plan, providing for codification, providing for severability of provisions, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you.
I'll move it.
You'll move it? I need somebody to second that movement.
Second.
Any comments? Please, hold the board.
Detman.
Abstain, participant in the plan.
Ivy.
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Carlisle.
Yes, okay.
I have to wake up Mr. Rabels for this.
Well, I was gonna say, he is probably proud we have made it this far, and I can tell you I am. 12B, ordinance 1460, vacating a portion of road right-of-way, Henry Crutchfield property, second reading. Attached, please find the following information. Survey showing proposed easement of Crutchfield property. Ordinance 1460, vacating portion of road right-of-way property. Council held a public hearing and is issued on November 17th, 2020. Since the easement issue had not been resolved, second reading of ordinance was continued to December 1st, which is today. It is on your agenda for second and final reading, and we have the.
Yes, sir.
The-
You have a signed easement
Right.
from the landowner that resolves the issue that we've been holding out for.
Right.
So if I can read up, your staff recommends approval of ordinance 1460. And it is an ordinance vacating that portion of Lake Drive lying west of Lucerne Drive, lying in the northerly portion of lots 9, 10, 11, and 12, block 142, Weston Knolls subdivision, and that portion of an unnamed roadway lying in the northerly portion of lot 27, Denner Lake suburb, all lying in section 20, township 34 south, range 29 east, Highlands County, Florida, and establishing an effective date.
Thank you.
Mr. Abels is here, we'd like to hear from him.
Has anyone got any questions for Mr. Abels? No? Anybody got a motion,
Approve, make a motion, we approve ordinance 1460 on second and final reading as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any comments from the audience? Any more comments up here? You want to discuss this, Mr. Ivy?
Well, there is this one. I'm good.
Okay, Kathy.
There you go.
Dennis.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes.
Lynn.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Carlisle.
Yes. Mr. Administrator, you have anything for us?
No, sir, but I would like to just update you on, the Veterans Beach Boat Ramp. We've met with the contractors, as recently as, Monday or end of last week? Monday, right? And then we're going to meet with one of the contractors again, tomorrow. They've been working on getting rid of the concrete that's on the boat ramp and underneath the gangway. We've done some video of it. I guess we're gonna do some more video tomorrow. There's still a considerable amount of concrete underneath the gangway. So, we're gonna collectively sit down and determine how to best address it, I guess. The boat parade is the weekend of the 12th. It's actually on the 12th. There's also a fishing tournament, correct? That day as well. I've got a commitment that the boat ramp will be open for that weekend to allow for those. According to Excavation Point, they will be paving the week of the 14th, so between the 14th and the 18th sometime. That's what's on their schedule. If their paving crew is able to get away sooner, they could be paving, I guess that would be next week. And they would expect to be complete at that point. It would only leave some minimal work left on the pier structures themselves that has to do with rubber and stuff like that. And then this concrete work. Our restrooms will not be open by the 18th, but I hope to have them open by the end of December at the latest. The porta potties will remain in place. I don't know if you've had an opportunity, but if you get an opportunity to go over there, walk into the restrooms. They're pretty nice. I don't know. We may be locking them at this point because there's a lot of new stuff in those restrooms. But Ken or one of his men would be glad to meet you out there and give you a tour. So, do you have any questions?
So you were saying that the boat ramp will be open the 12th, and that's with or without a paved parking lot? We don't know yet, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Right now, it's scheduled to be open without a paved parking lot. I believe people will still be able to park in the parking lot, but they certainly will be able to park across the street.
Yeah.
We're expecting probably, I think the organizer of the event indicated that she was probably expecting 27 to 30 boats, and maybe half of those would be driving or putting their boats in. The other half already have their boats on the lake as they live on the lake.
Well, it might be fun to watch them get in and out without any directions. Just saying.
Yep.
Free lunch. Watch 'em.
But at least it'll be open, and I think that's great for the parade.
Yep, definitely.
So,
Thank you, Scott. Last but not least,
Councilman Swift, paying the bill, please.
approve paying of the bills as presented is my motion.
Second.
Thank you.
yes, ma'am. Is
Dennis.
yours signed?
Ivy.
Yes.
Lynn.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Carlisle.
Yes. Are we done? Are we all finished?
Before 8 o'clock?
That's right.
Excuse me, may I ask a question?
Oh.
It's,
You can ask city administrator.